Hello, welcome, Mr. Kum, to our session
Yes.
now. Yeah, I wish to have more understanding about the course on these essential skills for purchaser. Okay,
Yeah. Sure.
okay. So I want to know what is the value engineering and value analysis to improve for improving products and services that you do
All
in
right.
mentioned in your brochure there.
Okay. Now, to answer that question, the abbreviations of VA, which means value analysis, and VE stands for value engineering. These are two empowering tools to lift up the competencies of the purchasing processes. Because purchasing has been all the while haven't given the wrong interpretation. It's just buying and selling for the company, within the company. But actually purchasing moves much more further than this perspective. Purchasing is actually in the value creation stream of a company. And the purchaser is that important because they are the one that liaise with suppliers. They are the one that go to the sourcing and bring in the goods and services to the company by means of purchasing it, in that sense of it. In other words, when the goods and services has been purchased, whether or not it's a tangible items or non-tangible item, is now in the company. And say now the purchaser has already paid the supplier. In most cases, when we come to this situation, the purchasing process stops. The purchasing activity stops. So by right, it cannot stop because literally speaking, the items has arrived. It is now in the warehouse, it is now in the department, it is now in the production state. But that item to be purchased have not turned into a value yet, have not turned into an item where he will pass on a value to the customer or the end user. So if we look at it from the traditional point of view, purchasing stops when the shipment has arrived, when the cargo, when the item has arrived, meaning we have interrupted the value stream. The value stream has not even started. So we have to understand purchaser continue to focus until the item purchased becomes an inventory, becomes a goods to be sold, until it reaches the hands of the end user or customers as defined by the company. Then purchaser would stop the work. In fact, when they stop, when the items arrive, that is the most crucial stage. The items has arrived, the purchasing has been done, but the value creation has yet to begin. So we can always have this statement, purchaser is actually one of a very key members in the value creation processes of a company. And it sits in the value chain management and not just on procurement management. VAVE means how do we extract more value, more enhanced benefits, more applications, more usage of that specific items to be considered to be purchased. So we call it, we have to analyze what is the value that is hidden in the supplier perspective. So when this thing works, we use a technical point of view, we will look for what are the engineering, the technical aspects that we can make use of that. So instead of buying one item, what the item can offer us to the purchaser, to the end user. So this is the VAVE process, which is one of the very empowerment tools in the purchasing cycle. Some companies are doing it, but they do not formalize this VAVE process. They do it on the version, on their own version. So again, it boils down very closely to it's a value creation step. It's a value creation process known as a VEVA. It ties back into very close on how to create value, using the purchaser as the first department to bring in the source of value.
Okay. Yeah, very clear, and we know that it's very important for purchaser to add value to the
Yes,
company.
right.
Yeah, okay. So for the second one, the buyer-seller relation factors in the supply cycle. Okay,
Yes.
can you explain a
Of
little bit
course,
what will
of
be
course, yeah.
expand
Not only in the purchasing cycle, not only talking about purchasing supply, in all management interaction with the departments, we call it the internal phase, and with supplier customers outside the company, we call it the external phase. It has been realized relational value is more important than transactional value. So that means to say, if we can forge real, sincere relationship with all the members in that purchasing pipeline, call them as business partners, suppliers, vendors, customers, end users, whatever it is. When we can produce relational value, this will cement that working environment. So we don't have to depend on transactional value. Transactional value in purchasing means I buy from you, I pay you according to your terms and conditions. And by doing that, you supply to me what I want. So immediately the transactional value has been created, has been realized. But it doesn't mean we are close to one another. So we have to go after that relational value. We have to use relationship to strengthen that transactional value. How do we do it? It's very simple. For example, on behalf of the customers, from the supplier point of view, the purchaser need to know what is the common goal. What is our commonality in goal sharing? What is our common risk and cost we are together in that endeavor? So this is how we grow relationship. We need that in times of predicament. Example now the pandemic, the COVID-19. A company who has strong relationship with the suppliers and customers, he would come back to normal faster. The turnaround time, because they are the back so-called, they will support you. Rather than a company is without that strength in relationship or in relationship, he has to depend on the timing in order to move back to what he wants. So you have two companies who is having the same attitude or same situation. You will find this company that the strong relationship is always the commendable. So this is a very simple orientation, which we bring up into a philosophy in the purchasing cycle. Okay? Common goal, common sharing of risks, common sharing of objective. That will now move to the relationship. In other words, supplier, if you fall, I fall. Purchaser, if I fall, supplier, you also fall. So when the supply purchaser fall, the customer will suffer in his own definition. So this is all about that, the perspective.
Oh, yeah. It's very important, especially currently we facing the MCO.
Yeah,
So the relationship must be keep in a very good condition
yeah,
that each
it must be
both
correct.
of us can help each others
Exactly.
to go through this hard time.
Right. The
Okay.
supporting factor, the supporting elements is very important. We need that in all businesses, not only in purchasing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But most companies, they behave in such a way because in that business landscape, purchaser, supplier, purchaser market because you control him, or supplier, purchaser, the supplier control you. So when the purchaser in his market, he control the supplier, most of the attitude is like this: I want to buy from you, I come after you. I pay whatever you want me to buy. The price factor is not important. I control you. I control with all my terms and conditions. So how do you expect there will be relationship growing from the aspect of the supplier? Because you feel that he has been, controlled. This is what we mean by, again, the level field of purchasing cycle. You have to have that understanding. The in-between must be very neutralized. So that as time goes by, after 100 purchasing, the relationship grow. This is what we want. We call it the relational value. It has to be always in the mindset of purchasing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we talk about the purchasing cycle and process of a firm.
Purchasing cycle is where, right from step 1 to step 10, for example, in a particular organization, he used 10 steps to purchase. Each time he needs to buy, he need to have go through 10 sequence, 10 process, 10 steps. And in the 10 steps, say, he would have about 4 or 5 very important documents. And one of them would be perhaps the sales contract, the purchase order, and so on. So again, here is a hidden agenda. because every company has competitors. We have to understand, we have to anticipate. Your fiercest competitor is using 8 steps to do the same purchasing, and you are doing 10 steps to do the same purchasing. So which one is excel? Which one is better in management point of view? You need to say the purchasing cycle looks like as a pipeline from step 1 to step 10. So what we do as a purchaser, we have to compress the pipeline. We have to shorten the pipeline. The shorter it is, the less risk, the less cost, the less stress we have. The longer it is, the more risk and cost you will face. It's a question of when they will come in. So from a purchasing point of view, perhaps we have that policy. We have that processes. Okay, we keep it to 8 steps. We try way to reduce it to 6 steps as and on. But this is from the purchaser point of view. Does the supplier agree or not? Does the supplier willing to support that 8 steps compared to 6 steps or not? Does he feel that he has been pushed down? Does he feel that he's having a disadvantage when you shorten the process? That's why this is again another area we have to be very careful on how to do the adjustment. But overall, the compression is very important. You have to compress the steps because this question relates to your competitors. Right?
Okay. So, Mr. Kum, let's talk about how is the purchasing terms and conditions. What actually we have in the purchasing term and conditions?
The normal terms and conditions of purchasing has to be first mentioned when you ask for quotation or when you raise an offer to buy. And not just all the terms and conditions are being incorporated in that purchase order. Nothing wrong, but when everything comes in only when it has been executing the purchase order, sometimes you find it's a bit too slow. I'll go back to what I said just now. You're actually expanding the process. You shorten it, the more you can realize what are the hidden agenda, the quicker you get it done. This is another way of compression the purchasing cycle. The normal terms and conditions of purchasing doesn't mean that what is the right price, what is the specs I need to buy, what are your terms and conditions on payment, how do you deliver to me. This is all there ever since. And every purchaser, whether they are executive level or just frontliners, they know what to do. But here we're talking about competency. That means other than the normal terms and conditions, you have to incorporate other terms and conditions which defend you as a purchaser, which grow relationship in the process. So these are the other terms, the secondary terms, if you want, call it as the secondary terms of purchasing. Other than the normal terms, we need to have more terms and conditions which will now go into that purchasing environment to have the objective, the fulfillment being able to realize. One of the very crucial terms and conditions in most cases purchasers did not look at it is the dispute resolution. Okay, we take it for granted there's no dispute. Any dispute, all right, I change supplier. Anything that is not right, okay, then I don't buy from you. So you just stop like that. But this is not correct. You have created a lot of those uphill tasks. You have come almost to the top of the mountain. And suddenly, because of one simple argument, the whole thing collapses again. And you start all over again. So how to go after competency when you keep on running on the roller coaster? So one of the very normal terms and conditions we sit in the secondary level is the dispute resolution. We stand by, we have the terms and conditions talking about in the event of arguments, in the event of any types of misunderstanding, whatever, not to go to the court. We have to settle it among the purchaser and the supplier. What must I do? What must you do, for example? What is your liability? What is my liability, for example? So this is a very crucial term. And most purchasing contracts or terms and conditions did not look at this seriously. On to the presumption we don't argue, we don't quarrel, we are so close to one another, right? But these are something which is very superficial. Nobody in business point of view can guarantee there's no dispute. There will be dispute of a certain level, of a certain kind.
Okay, so means the term and condition we must take in look into it to avoid Okay, any dispute, then we make
Correct.
our purchasing process more smoothly.
Correct. So that you
Okay.
will not be disturbed. You will not be disturbed by argument. You keep on going by itself.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mr. Kum, let's see about what is the objective that a purchaser can do to help them to improve. That will,
Improve,
yeah.
improve what? Improve the
So means
purchasing.
the objective of a purchasing, how they should do on setting all these objectives.
First, you has to be from a departmental, cross-functional point of view. The finance, the sales, example, okay, the order planning, the production, the logistics definitely has to be in that team of purchasing. And not only the purchaser, take instructions from the internal departments. Okay, somebody will say, all right, purchaser, we need to have this because we need to replenish the stock. So when they have seen the requisition order from the internal departments, the purchaser start to do his work. When there is no purchasing required, he will not have anything to do. So this is again a wrong attitude in that contemporary purchasing empowerment. Departments has to come in because everybody, it should be called an indirect purchaser. The purchasing executive will be the direct purchaser. Without the finance, can you purchase? No. Without the sales and the customer service, what are you purchasing has no meaning. Without production, what you purchase, it won't come by because you cannot turn into inventory. So why the purchaser has to work on his own accord? Why he has to be on his own taking instructions? So you don't have to take instructions. You have to gather information and then create that overall. What are all the functional support? I need to purchase this item. What is from the finance point of view, from the sales point of view, and so on and so forth. So every department will have certain winning attribute, will have certain benefit derived from that particular purchasing assignment. So this is strong. Internally, we have to do this. Okay, but most companies they don't do that because a lot of friction is going on. They don't even talk eye to eye. They don't even have a very regular meeting point of view. Everything work on documents, work on paperwork. So if there is a dispute, that thing would be very tarnished. Whole thing would be very explosive. So to say this would be simply, you cannot even work with the departments as a purchasing department, as a purchasing executive. How can you expect that you can work so well with with the supplier outside the company? So this means you have to have the objective fulfilled first within the company. Then we talk about how to fulfill the objective that will pass the value or benefit to the customer. When the customer enjoy the benefit, the supplier will also enjoy. Not only the purchaser enjoy. So it's actually a triangular point of undertaking. Purchaser, supplier, customer. Customer, purchasers. These three must go together, hand in hand. This is one of the objectives that is not been so well pronounced or even practiced.
Okay. So means they need to work not only purchaser alone. We need to take in other departments to be the team of the
Right,
purchasing also.
right.
Yeah.
Depending on the seriousness of the purchasing specifics. Because purchasing, again, it should be one of the modules there. There is a purchasing or a procurement portfolio of metrics. What are strategic items to purchase? What are miscellaneous items to purchase? It's two ways of doing purchasing. We cannot use one style to do whether the item is strategic item, whether the item is miscellaneous item. We still use the same attitude, the same process. Then you find that where is the objective? It's no objective, it's zero objective.
Hmm. Okay. So thank you for Mr. Krum. Let's we go to the principle and methods of purchasing. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, purchasing has many styles. Purchasing has many way of doing it. Example, we have the buyback purchasing policy. Buyback means the supplier has been given the contractual rights without jeopardizing the purchaser and supplier relationship. Whatever in excess, whatever deemed to be returned, the supplier will have to buy back. This is known as a buyback purchasing style or the buyback purchasing method, one of them. Another one would be, for example, profit sharing purchasing principle or profit sharing purchasing style. If the purchaser as the customer has reached certain objective, he has seen the profit in surplus. Why not you share a little bit with the supplier as a motivational issue, for example, so that the supplier come in for more efforts. He will keep on going after you in that sense of it. So just to name 2 out of 12 types of purchasing method there. The buyback style, the profit sharing style, the revenue sharing style, the win-lose attitude style, and so on. So never just one style of purchasing, one attitude, one behavior. You cannot afford to be that. You don't change, the competition change. You don't move, the market move. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, so means we can have a lot of method that suit to the condition and to be more competitive in
Right.
all
You
these.
have to adapt and align into the contemporary business landscape.
Okay, so I think a lot of people might be very interesting of the purchasing negotiations. Okay,
Yeah.
so for the consumer and industrial product, let's talk about it a little bit.
When you start to talk in the purchasing environment, you are actually negotiating. Every day you are negotiating. Negotiating means soft bargaining, soft exchange of views and come to the compromise. Take away the word negotiating. It's actually bargaining. And bargaining falls into soft bargaining or hard bargaining. And we are talking about soft bargaining. Soft bargaining means it does not create any hostility. It does not go into any types of seriousness in that sense of it. So as a purchaser, knowing all the basic fundamentals is not good enough because you have to put it into an action plan. You have to make use of your knowledge to go into the purchasing. So the first thing that you don't realize is you start to talk. The moment you talk, you are bargaining. Right? The moment you talk, you are negotiating already. Don't talk about high level, formally in already serious negotiating meeting. So what we understand here is there are 3 ways of using that negotiating style again, or techniques if you want, in the purchasing side. One is we call it the win-lose style. The win-lose style is everybody is doing it. Either I win, you lose. I don't agree, that means I lose, whatever. So win-lose to us is not so favorable. Of course, everyone want to go after win-win. You win something, I win something, from the purchaser supplier point of view. This is what you always want to have, but you cannot be always to have that. If everybody wants to win, who is about to lose? Who is a loser? Without the loser in the purchasing cycle, where can you find the purchasing winner? So we are more focused on the other third option, which is lose-lose. Lose-lose negotiating style. Lose doesn't mean you lose. Lose means I still have my objective in hand. I call off the meeting. I stop the meeting. We don't go on to create more hostility. So lose-lose is always on the forefront. But it has been from the bottom of the agenda, it's always at the back. We don't realize it. We always want to have win-lose, or win-win. But this is not possible. So when these things comes by, the whole thought of a purchasing objective, purchasing value is destroyed. It's destroyed. And it's destroyed where? In that stage of bargaining or negotiating. Okay? Another important factor is why negotiation is so crucial in the purchasing cycle. Is because when you talk about what you want, an offer and acceptance, the supplier offer, the purchaser accept. So there's an offer acceptance element. So we try to bridge these 2 elements of offer and acceptance to a very close margin. Meaning we use negotiation. We use the style of negotiation to move him into a very small gap, so that gap would not produce hostility. That gap would not produce any type of arguments or dispute. That's the meaning of why negotiation is important. A negotiator is complete in the purchasing competency, unlike a purchaser is not complete in purchasing competency when he slack or when he lacks negotiating style. But we don't go after you always be a world-class negotiator. No. You don't negotiate just because you want to negotiate. You're going into bargain what you want to offer, and okay, that's the meaning. That's the attitude, the behavior behind this.
Yeah. Okay. So we wish that we can go into the soft negotiating. So means it's more nice and more professional for
Right,
purchaser to
right,
handle the
correct.
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting that purchasers should look into this. Okay, so normally, Mr. Kum, our a lot of participants would ask a question that during the training you can explain in Malay.
I will try my best, right?
Yeah.
Answering questions maybe, but not in the formal delivery of the course,
Okay.
right? Because I still cannot find certain English word that represent the exact meaning when I come up with the Bahasa Malaysia.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So means yeah, we have a very clear of what the course content will be. So, do you have any others tips or sharing want to share here before we end up the sessions?
Do not be contented. Do not be sitting in the comfort zone just because you have been in the purchasing department from different companies for such a long time. More important is, are you competent? Meaning to say, experience is not so important than competency. Competency will just come in within 6 months. You don't need 6 years, right? But you need 6 years to acquire experience, because 6 month experience cannot be compared with 6 years experience. So a bit of mentality, a bit of the perception is here. As a purchaser, you go after competency, you would have more experience in that sense of it. So competency would actually override, exceed experience. Try to go into world-class purchasing style. Not to say they have to change the company policy. You can't change the company policy as an employee. But you yourself is more into the composure. You talk about world-class, world standard way of purchasing. This give you the command of professionalism. These people would, look at you. Yeah. Rather than, because anybody can be a purchasing executive, correct or not? Because the policy is there, the document is there. You're just like a messenger. Fill up the form, give to the supplier. That's that. So this is not purchasing. It's only one part of the purchasing, or is the start of the purchasing cycle. All right. So
Okay.
this is how we hope that purchaser, everybody out there realize this important shortfall, I call it. The shortfall is important. You don't fill up the shortfall, you look for it yourself.
Okay. So means anyone who wish to become the world class purchaser shall go to Mr. Kum's classes.
Not really though, but then you're on the right track. You're moving this direction, but you don't stop, yeah, or you don't slide backwards. When you don't improve, you're actually going backwards. Correct or not?
Yeah. So so for those who can attend the classes are those in procurement, purchasing, and who else that Mr. Kum that you think the person who should join this training?
Finance department. To me, it is they have to come in. Because without the dollar sign, you don't do anything about purchasing. You can't even do purchasing. So the dollar sign is the finance department. Okay? Then the sales department. The sales department, the business development department. These are again an important one. Without finance, there's no sales. With sales, there's no finance, there's no meaning. So it has to be hand in hand. Finance department, sales, business development department. Customer service, very important. Okay? Customer service is not there to wait for complaint. You are there to actually move complaint away. And it starts from the purchasing step, not start from the sales step. Okay? Then of course logistics, shipping department, right? Warehousing department. More towards the administrative side. Because why? Purchasing comes in, it will end in the warehouse. And you need to, how the purchasing come in, you need logistics to move purchasing. So are they important? Yes, they are very important. From the physical point of view, the logistical movement is there. Okay, you command the purchasing cycle. You are so in control of the whole process of purchasing. But how to bring the goods down, physically speaking? This is logistics. The logistics empowerment is much bigger, not just logistics operation. So if a company has supply chain management, these people must come in, because supply chain can be simply defined, it looks after supplier and customer in that whole pipeline. So one more time, finance, sales, yeah, which comprise business development, customer service, the order management, the planning, okay, logistics, supply chain, shipping, all these have to come in. The only department which will be quite far away from the learning point of view, I would say, is that the loading and unloading department, the receiving department. Yeah, because this is more into the human, into that more onto the actual hands-on departments. They're not so involved here because they will be controlled. They have to report back to the warehouse or business side. So this team may not have to come. Okay, but other than that, I think it has to be there so that you know how to collaborate in the team. Purchasing, always think of it this way. When you do purchasing, don't use a department to purchase. Use the entire company, which comprises all the major departments, to purchase. This is strong. This is sustainable. Any types of pandemic like now, any types of issues, debates, whatever you are, because the whole company is at that. Rather than just the purchasing department is on the front line. So that makes the world of difference.
Okay. So yeah, very clear, and we are thank you for Mr. Kum's explanations, and we hope all that see Mr. Kum's explanation, we can see you in the class.
Sure. Please, yeah, try to come in. I look forward to meet all of you on that 5th of February. It will be very enjoyable because I will share with you how corporates, MNCs, because of the purchasing shortfall, everything run back into square one. Nothing wrong, but as time goes by, the company is always behind the competition. And no bosses want to be remain at the back of the competition. You have to be somehow in line with the competition. And purchasing is all about how you start and begin. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jimmy. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.